Hi everyone, I already made a video related to this topic previously, but I may not have explored all the elements related to what I want to talk about. That's why I'm making another video about this topic. Um, the problem I'm facing currently in health as a health challenge in the last few weeks or months has been related to some chemical and metal poisoning and other toxic poisoning from food in our area. And it's not simply something that was arising from food, it was also arising from food, bottled water, bottled drinks, as well as supplement medications that people can use for giving to someone with a nutritional deficiency, someone with cancer, someone who's feeding supplements like NAN or lactogen and basically baby infant formula food. So anything that is essentially very essential for humans to stay healthy, though in those elements of things that are being marketed in our country, and this is actually possibly even a global problem, but simply because I do not live in another country, I can't speak too deeply about the problems in their country, though based on newspaper articles I've already seen that other countries are also working on this challenge, and we need some mass awakening or mass awareness about this, related to things that are going on in the world where manufacturers either are directly doing some unethical practices, sellers are doing unethical practices, or other, when I was doing my pharmacy coursework in India, at the time we had a food and drug administration related aspect to our course, and the FDA already knows that related to drug manufacturing, food related issues, there are many illegal aspects related to how food and drugs can be contaminated by humans deliberately for profit, or where diversion or food packaging related diversion can happen. And currently I feel I'm facing this issue in a mass scale, and that's why I want to talk about this topic. And while I might be facing it at a mass scale, there are other people also who might be facing it at a minor level or also possibly at the same level as me, and are going through some similar health challenges where even if they go and see a doctor, even if they have got medication for their health issues, even if they are continuously have been taking some medications for months and years, their overarching health issue hasn't improved. For example, in my own society, where I have observed a elderly lady who has been occasionally facing this severe pain related incidences in her body, and while I don't know all the direct reasons why she would be experiencing those incidences, and I don't know all her diagnosed medical conditions, but I do know that since we live in the same society, the things that are going to be common to us is going to be related to the food, clothing, shelter, air quality, water quality of the area in which we are living. And even if our families consume very different kinds of foods, there will still be at least 30% to 50% similarity in certain things that we are consuming daily or getting exposed to regularly in our life that will have some common overlap. And this body ache issue that that elderly lady is feeling, who is maybe possibly even like twice my age, and who might have lived in this area longer than me or around the same number of years as me, but because some common overlap of food, drug, water related problems are occurring in our life, I have also faced the same challenge that she is facing, where I have had issues of body aches and pains, where I am not able to pinpoint where is the source of this ache and pain, or what is the exact thing that is causing this problem. Like if you've seen some of my previous videos when I was talking about my thyroid nodule related progression, I could correlate part of that progression to radiation exposure from my phones, because I was using a lot of I am one of those people who living by myself most of the years I have lived in my adult life. Um, Many years of my adult life I have lived simply alone with no one, no human connection in my home life. So I've been leading very lonely life where except phone I had no other friend. So I would put on music on my phone, I would watch TV shows on my phone, I would do meditation video on my phone and fall asleep turning things on my phone. And not just on my phone, earlier I used to have laptop on which I used to watch certain things. Then slowly I transitioned into using iPad. Then I slowly transitioned into using a phone, because possibly, and the reason why I think I was transitioning into using smaller and smaller devices was because my eyes possibly couldn't take the constant exposure of just flashing lights from the LCD screen of your devices, or whatever screen it is. Like, I'm not a technologically savvy person, so please pardon me if I'm using a little bit wrong technical jargon. But the screen of the phones, the flashing lights from the screen of the phones or devices you're using can also have some damage potential. There is radiation that can emit from any device that we use. And when I was younger, and when the number of hours of consumption was less, because I was also working, I was also going to college, so I was not always exposed to constantly one device related radiation issue. But the moment I am just at home and not doing anything else, I have only a device in my disposal. At that time, only when I knew that there's nothing else that is exposing me to anything harmful at that point of time, there was a chunk of time in my life when it was very evident that the radiation from the phone was one of the factors impacting. And my phone usually used to be around this area in my bed. Like, I'm sleeping and my phone is just right either near my eye level, near my hearing level, or when I'm listening to music, it's near my hearing level, right? So because of which, since the phone was right here, and many a times I didn't used to use headphones, because when you're sleeping, what happens is, or when you want to listen to music to fall asleep, at a time you do not want a uh, wired speakerphone, right? Because if you use that wire, the wire can twist around your neck. It can I used to have some issues where the materials would get torn after eventual use. So because of all these reasons, I stopped using those wired speakerphones. I even bought the AirPod related kind of phones also, which are the Bluetooth headphones. But even the Bluetooth headsets were not really beneficial. The ones which are Bluetooth but and wireless, but the bulkier ones, all different types of headphones I have tried, and most of them were not working for me, were uncomfortable when you're falling asleep. And since I had no other alternative choice to feel, sometimes like the best way to sleep was to listen to some music or watch something and then fall asleep while watching it, which is a problem of many people like me. Elderly also go through these similar challenges. People who are alone, live alone, also go through these challenges. So most of us are the subgroup of population who do these kind of practices. But as a result of these practices only, you will see that the more exposure you have, if your phone is not that high quality phone, and if your phone does emit a lot of radiation, all of these things can actually impact your radiation exposure related organ system damages. And so I have observed also in recent years, my hearing has gone a little off, as well as this thyroid related escalation also happened, and the de-escalation also happened if I do not use my phone as continuously, or if at least the radiation exposure or heat generated from my phone when it is less. I obviously see that the thyroid problems are not as problematic then. So this is the thing related to environmental exposure from our phone that can cause us some the pain that will arise when some cancer-like condition is developing in your body, when some organ damage is developing in your body. So a radiation in just simply this small area of exposure can lead to this area's organ damage, healthcare problems, right? Similarly, while radiation is one environmental exposure that can lead to problems related to pain and body aches and pains depending on where your phone is most often located. So those people who are using like Bluetooth headsets, at that time, where do you think people are keeping their phone? Those people might be keeping their phone in their pockets or in their purses, and their women can have their purses around here near their abdominal area. The purse, if it is a little longer purse, it might hang around near the abdominal area or hip area. If it is a shorter purse, it will be hanging around near the breast area. So do you see, depending on how you are using the phone, where you are storing your phone while talking, also can determine which area of the body will get the radiation exposure from the phone, and hence cause a increased problem of some health issue, especially if you are a super user who's like using that device for longer hours than a normal average user who might be using a device for only 2-3 hours. And anyone who is doing now research work related to these fields, whether about radiation exposure related problems, they need to understand while designing their experiments, or while figuring out whether there is a true correlation or whether the correlation they are finding is a false correlation, the distinction between which population group actually gets impacted when the data already exists that radiation can cause certain kinds of cancer or organ damage. If people really want to create safer devices for the future, if people really want a safer and healthier earth, then the focus of any company or any personal researcher wanting to make things safer for humanity would be to understand this difference between what is the user's usage pattern. Because earlier when we are doing tests and just finding some correlation between cancer, whoever has done those kind of tests, they might have just looked at 100 group a group of 100 people who use cell phones versus those who don't use cell phones, to see whether there was some difference. But now that there are so many different brands of phone out there, you might have to do brand specific data study. You might have to do in that brand also from where is the manufacturer making the phone, because the manufacturer's facility also plays a role in some of these issues related to exposures, health harm, as well as contaminations. So remember, I began this video about health issues from chemical poisons. So I'm going to go there, but I went into the radioactive poisoning related thing first, because this radioactivity related poisoning and radioactivity related health harm is one area where doctors do need to focus on currently, because there has been a massive increase in cell phone usage globally in our lives. So that area needs to be explored further, needs to be explored in the right way to discern the difference between, if someone is elderly and they are using the phone just near their bed, near their eyesight and hearing level, that person's health issues could be related to this, from this brain area to this area most probably. Whereas this is the most nearest zone of exposure of the radioactivity. Whereas someone who is keeping their phone in their pockets or in their purses, again, what is their pattern of keeping their phone near them is the area where some health issue might be beginning to crop up for those patient population groups, which is a necessary aspect of treating a patient, because radioactive poisoning by itself can be really health harming. But radioactive poisoning, in addition to other elements in our life, can also result in a combination level of poisoning also manifest in our life. So currently, when I was able to pinpoint where my poisoning is occurring from, I have the conscious choice, or I can voluntarily stop using the phone when it is getting too heated up, or decide to, if I have enough socioeconomic status to buy another good quality phone, I can go and buy a better quality phone, safer phone. All these things I can do when the right data about phone safety is present, when the right data is being presented about safety of a product, when after indeed buying a product the health harm doesn't escalate, the health harm is checked. If I did do indeed buy a new product and the health harm is checked, then I have done the right purchase. But if the regulatory industry, the people manufacturing things, the people selling things, the people using things are not aware of the radioactive poisoning related things going on, I can get radioactive poisoning even from, let's say, go to a college, and in college, all other students also have cell phones. And while I may not be using a cell phone, or I may be mindfully using a cell phone, then also I could be a person still getting some kind of cancer from, even despite having made a lot of mindfulness based practices of ensuring that I'm using the cell phone in a safer way or using a quality product. But if 100 other students in my class are not doing the same thing, I can still get radioactive poisoning from them as well. Because if when only one person in this big room is using the phone, my phone usage is going to just first circulate around this area of the body, might also end up penetrating other parts of my body if enough high radiation was there in my phone. But if in this smaller room also, if I've gone, let's say, to a tuition class where 50 students are sitting in such a small class, because those kind of classes do exist in countries like India, where in a small classroom setting there are 40-50 students. All of us have cell phones, all of us are using cell phones, not listening to the, not all, but let's say there are 30-40 students who are not listening only to the teacher, only 10 sincere students are making notes, others are just simply playing games on their phones or listening to music on their phone. So radioactivity could be high even in a classroom setting sometimes. So when it is high in a classroom setting, at that time, if there are enough people using low quality phones, high radiation emitting phones, then do you see the additive effect that will happen in that area, where even if 1 or 5 students don't use their phones but the rest of the class is using the phone, everyone in that class, even the teacher is not using the phone because the teacher is teaching, but everyone else in the class is then responsible for increasing the radioactive exposure levels in that classroom. And then eventually, if you are having these 10 hours of class sessions, or because our coaching classes in India have these kind of gruesome study schedules where students are constantly in coaching classes for 10-12 hours, or there are people who go to regular college for 5-6 hours, and then to a coaching class for another 5-6 hours. So 10 hours in the day, a person could have radioactive exposure in their life also, even though they may not personally be a super user. Other super users who are constantly on their phones could be causing them to get now exposed to this high level of radioactivity. So that is one element related to simply just the environmental exposure from something like radioactivity exposure from your phone usages, kind of phones you're using, quality of phone you're using, and how, earlier in my one of my videos I spoke about how tobacco smoke, when initially people were in denial about tobacco smoke, people were also many people, even after they found the information that tobacco smoke can lead to cancer, there were so many people who have this idea that it is their body, their choice, so they continue smoking. But then eventually what data emerged, that even though there is a concept that it is your body, your choice, but when someone is smoking tobacco and there are other people around in that area, in their family, or in a large city where multiple people are smoking tobacco, all those city data eventually showed up, city related data, family history related data, all these data over time that was gathered over time led to the emergence of the other patient group who was also getting impacted by cigarette smoke, and cancer related to cigarette smoke, or other disease conditions related to smoking. But which smoking? Second hand smoking. And what is second hand smoking? That if I'm existing in a city with millions of people, where at least half of the population or one third of the population is smoking, then even if I am not a smoker, I can still have exposure to the smoke from the other people in the local environment who are smoking, and their smoking habits can then eventually result in cancer of those people who do not smoke but who are coexisting with them in the same city, who are breathing the same air as the population of that city, and who, if you're living in a particular family where there are two adults who smoke and five children who don't smoke, three four other adults who don't smoke, and despite that, the cancer will happen to whom? The one who is likely the weakest, even if they smoke or don't smoke, will be where, when your immune system is at the weakest level, when something is going wrong in your health response, that is when out of 5-10 people living in the same home, it is equally possible that one smoker and one non-smoker both might end up with some cancer or organ damage related problems associated with cigarette smoke. One from directly smoking the cigarette, and one from being the second hand exposure related to cigarette smoke that was prevalent in their home life. So and cigarette smoke is what? Cigarette smoke is a chemical pollution related problem. So when you're smoking, it emits gases in the air, and everyone else who lives in the home now, they can inhale that what is imparted in the air. And if you have ever lived with people who smoke, or if you have ever stayed in hotels where you've stayed in a room which is a smoking room, you will see that those smokers rooms have a lot of smoke still there present in the room, even if the last smoker who might have occupied that room might have been months back, might have been few days back. Even then the smoke stays in the room. How does the smoke stay in the room? Is because when you have smoked around, if you have a curtain in your room, the bed sheets of the room, the smoke eventually, while it is dispersed in the air initially, and some of the people who are there with the smoker, even if they don't smoke, they get to inhale the smoke. But rest of the smoke particles that got dispersed in the air, where is it going to land? It is going to land in your curtains, land on your hair, land on the skin of anyone around the smoker, as well as the smoker's own skin and body. It is also going to land on the bed sheets, on the sofas, on the floor, anywhere in the room where the smoke is dispersed and eventually lands, is where some particulate matter from the cigarette smoke ends up now accumulating. And that is how if it is a smoker's room in a hotel, or if you have a smoker in your home regularly, your rooms will smell of the cigarette smoke, because the particulate matter from the cigarette smoke is also accumulating around in your home. And then if you're sleeping on the bed with that smoke particles on the bed, with sitting on a sofa or a chair where smoke particles have landed on your upholstery, now when I'm sitting on those places, at the time anyone who is wearing, like, let's say shorts, or a child is sitting on a parent's lap, and that parent is smoking, so the child is inhaling all the smoke particles are landing on the child's hands and feet. Or when you're sitting on a chair, it is whichever parts of your body is touching those surfaces directly. Or even if you're wearing, like, if in the summer time we sometimes wear thinner clothes, so if you're wearing thinner clothes, it can get absorbed by your clothes, absorbed on your clothes, and then get absorbed on your skin, and lead to then skin related problems, skin related chemical allergy related problems, skin damages. Or after getting absorbed from your skin, eventually whatever our skin absorbs, some of it, if we washed it away, like let's say I got irritation when I sat on a sofa which had some smoke particles in it, and I was having some allergy issues, and I am scratching my skin or scratching my foot, I go and take a shower or wash my hand and foot, I might be okay. But let's say I'm not getting any allergic responses because my skin has got used to the smoke in my home. But if I'm gotten used to it, doesn't mean the harm of the product stops. It's just that my body has stopped responding to the skin irritation. So I might keep absorbing it daily from the bed, from the bed sheets, from the curtains, when I'm touching the, like, opening the curtains in the morning, closing the curtains in the evening, or if I am cleaning surfaces on my table because I'm the housewife, or if I am the maid is coming and they are mopping the floors. So all these people who are doing the cleaning activities, who are doing the regular activities in a home life, anyone living in that same home or working in that place will also get some exposure to those toxins of that place, right? And with smoke it is a little easier to explain. That's why I'm now with radiation also it's very easier to explain. With smoke also it's very easier to explain, because radiation generates heat, so you get a heat sensation from your phones to know radiation is there. And if not heat, it will generate a immediate response after a few years of exposure. If some harm has started happening, the response is a little bit more easier to understand, with the like hearing related problems or vision related problems. And these are places where if someone is using a phone and feeling there is some vision related problem, hearing related problem, they need to start becoming, people need to start becoming a little bit more mindful that it is there, what personal thing that they are using is leading to their some escalation of health harm, or what better quality product they need to focus on buying, so that this kind of health harm doesn't exist for them or doesn't progress into something more severe, like a cancerous thing, or severe organ damage related eventual outcome. Because I don't know if people have read these articles, but there are also articles of people who have been using their phone, and I also do that, so I understand it also at a deeper level. That sometimes I use the phone like this, we are like holding our phone in our hands like this and watching something on our phone or playing a game on our phone. So if the light from the phone falls directly in your eyes, like while many people sit and use their phone, or keep the phone on a stand and watch their phones, there are many people like me who, when we are really sick or really not able to be very much mobile or active, at the time we are holding sometimes the phone in our hands, or laying down and holding the phone. I have done that many a times. So as a result, the light from the phone is hitting my eyes and are also directly going to hit behind the eyes, the retina and other parts of my eyes, internal organs of my eyes, which has resulted in certain people getting eye damage as well. So for those people, when you already, like, if you use your phone, overuse your phone, that overusing person needs to become mindful, needs to become mindful about practicing phone use in a way that will be health safe and not cause these escalation of any damage that might have already started as a result of holding a phone in a particular way. So nowadays I have also started, when I'm getting some vision related issues, I have started ensuring that at least, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it, because this is a habitual change, it takes a lot of time to do these changes, but sometimes I'm not watching the phone as much. If it is something that is just something that will be educational and just something that I just need to listen to, sometimes I do not even watch a video on YouTube. I would just keep the phone down and I'm not watching it. I'm just listening to what I am hearing. Like if it's an educational thing, I'm listening to it. It's a motivational thing, I'm listening to it. Music, just listen instead of watching all the time, just to give my eyes the rest that my eyes need. So that is some practice also. Those people who are getting vision related problems might need to start becoming mindful about. And likewise, when you're living in a home where smoking is going on, or you are in a city where a lot of people smoke, or your college campus has a lot of smokers, whatever is the place where this smoking habit is high, at the time you will invariably have the secondhand exposure. But it's not simply the lung exposure or inhalational exposure that many people have to worry about now. In a world where millions of people are using, thousands of people are using, multiple people are using, constantly people are using something health harming, at that time it's not simply the inhalational impact, Inhalational impact was first observed because that is the first route by which exposure is prominently happening in any person who is a smoker or who is getting secondhand smoke exposure. But apart from inhalational exposure, you're also getting skin exposure, exposure on your scalp, on your clothes, on the places that you are walking and cleaning. So, exposure via your hand and feet. So, you can also start getting then allergies. You can also start having skin related damages. You can also start having circulatory system related problems once the toxin is likely getting absorbed. Like, let's say you are the housewife who does the hand washing of your clothes. So when you're doing the hand washing of the smoker's clothes, your clothes, everyone's clothes, or you're a maid who is doing the hand washing, even if you're not doing the hand washing, let's say you are only washing it in a washing machine, but still again after washing in a washing machine, what do you have to do? In India, our washing machines are not the kind which dries up the clothes completely. So you have to always, after using the washing machine also, we have only half washing machines. So those half drying washing machines will wring out the clothes and take out a lot of water, but there is still some dampness in our clothes that need to be hung up. So while you're hanging up the clothes, while you're folding the clothes, these are also the places where if microscopic particles of that smoke has not got washed from your clothes, they are all going to now get absorbed by the hands of the person who is doing all these major home activities, either the wife or the sibling or the whoever is doing these activities is the one getting the major exposures, and via the skin contact now. And if your home is, let's say there's abuse going on in your family life, or someone is very sick and people are focused on taking care of the sick person, and that's why they have not focused on doing some cleaning activities that other homes might be doing very diligently. Like for example, one way to get the smell of the smoke out could be to vacuum, just dry vacuum all your areas, right? So that could be a good way of ensuring that you are doing a good job of removing the particulate matter from your sofas, chairs, upholstery. But let's say you were very busy taking care of someone who's elderly in your family, or you had a child and you're taking care of the baby, and some of these daily, weekly activities or monthly activities got cut down. So at that time also your exposure level can go up. So anytime our exposure level to something goes up suddenly for some reason or the other, that time also you will see the escalation of certain symptoms can happen. So when I mentioned the body aches and pains that I'm going through, or the pain that that elderly lady in my society is going through, at the time the reason why her aches and pains and my aches and pains could be going through is because something in our environment could have increased in usage for some reason or the other, or increased exposure to something has happened now leading to a body ache and pain. And one thing that can lead to body aches and pains, according to my personal experience, is chemical toxins of various kinds. Not just the radioactive poisoning can also give you body aches and pains. The other kind of poisoning is chemical poisoning from your food, clothing, and other elements of your life. So it's not simply the chemicals in a cigarette smoke is very easy to understand. That's why you understand how cigarette smoke can land on your clothes. Pesticide sprays also are very easy to visually see, so you can understand how pesticide sprays can also land on your curtains and bed sheets and sofa corners, or other places of your home. So these are all very visibly easy to understand. But apart from these things also, there are if there are chemicals in my food, like what food I'm buying from my local grocery store, or from a local farmer's market, or from a retail store, some packaged foods I'm buying, if the manufacturer has some things going on which has added to chemical pollution, if there is some food and drug administration related regulatory misconduct going on there, leading to contamination of our foods and water and drinks, if there are poor quality materials being used at different stages from food, from rising from the source material of the food to the end product that comes to our home. There are multiple places where in the whole supply chain of a food industry, something could have gone wrong, which could lead to chemical contamination and pollution from our food. And now let's say I'm drinking some drink from the market that earlier I used to love drinking. It is considered to be nutritious also. Maybe I'm drinking like almond milk, coconut water, or chocolate milk, or I'm buying because I have a health issue and nutritional challenge going on. Doctor might have recommended some nutritional supplements to me, or knowing that I have some nutritional challenges going on, I might myself have decided to start taking, like, there are so many products marketed towards nutritionally boosting us. So things like Boost and Complan and women's health related, women's Horlicks, or Ensure, or Protein X, like that. There are multiple. These are all the products I have tried in recent. Bornvita. These are all these products I've tried in recent years. When I was really sick, I was not able to cook for myself. So in order to supplement my health, I was trying to consume these products. So I would mix these powders in water and drink it, or take a Protein X biscuit and dip it in milk and consume it, because I wanted something very quick to consume, since I was not having the health status to cook for myself. And also, the cook who was coming, it was very difficult for me to explain to her all the steps that are needed for me to ensure that real food safety would occur. And some days when I had good health, I could explain to her, but some days I couldn't. And there were other elements also associated with whatever food was getting delivered. Either I had to get online delivery of food, or my dad had to purchase. And for me, getting online delivery or my dad purchasing some food was equally toxic, because my dad is not mindful about what he purchases. Sometimes he's deliberately sabotaging about the things he buys. And similar thing is also true of anyone who delivers food to you. For some reason or the other, the delivery place, the food retail store, if they are ethical, they will give you good quality food. The delivery person, if they are ethical, they will supply you good quality food. But if the place and the personnel are not ethical, not mindful, and there is also a mindfulness element, many places are not mindful about the work they do. So sometimes I get good quality food, sometimes I don't get good quality food, and I been in a precarious state of health anytime I do not get good quality food. And for me, good quality means something that is not nutritionally supporting me, something that might have been diluted by someone, something that has some chemical contamination in them, something that is escalating my health harm. So by consuming, like if I'm buying a drink and there are some chemicals in the drink that was either deliberately added or unconsciously added, because people are also not aware, in some places people are not aware of the earth pollution parameters that are impacting their manufacturing activities, food raising activities, food selling steps, food so like mindfulness is absent in multiple aspects of work related to food industry currently. Not just food industry, mindfulness is generally absent in people's lives, because when people are too focused on quickly doing something, sometimes in my previous video also, when I was talking about a doctor wanting quick service with a patient, that same element is true of every kind of field of work. It is not specific to a doctor's field of work, but multiple fields of work are currently designed like that, where while quickness is necessary, that quickness is something, a skill that should be developed. How? The quickness skill is developed when you are more experienced in doing something and experienced in doing something efficiently. That's when quickness is the paradigm that should be the criteria of quality for a person. So for me, if I am a pharmacist dispensing advice to a patient, the first year I dispense some advice to a patient will be very different from the 10th year I will be dispensing that same advice to the patient, because in those 10 years, that same advice that I would be giving, because I'm continuously practicing it on hundreds of customers daily over so many years, slowly, my quickness will develop in understanding what is the most efficient way to dispense this information to a patient. So earlier, while it might take me 5 minutes to explain something to someone, by the time I have become an expert at explaining it, it will only take me 1 minute. That's where the quickness will arise, because I have become now expert at explaining that, right? So that efficiency is a good efficiency measure. But if you are only focusing on quickness and not focusing on what is needed, like let's say if I have a simple patient, for a simple patient who's just taking one medication, what explanation I need to give to that patient is very different from the explanation I need to give to a patient who has multiple diseases going on, multiple medications are being taken by that patient. So again, there the quickness can't arise. It will arise again after 10 years, possibly, the more I become expert in giving advice to that complex level of patient category. But again, if it is a complex, like when I'm seeing a patient with one issue versus another patient with 10 issues, the time taken to help someone with one issue is going to be different from the time taken for someone with 10 issues. Similarly, with food delivery thing or food raising thing, whatever it is, whatever element of work you are doing, the efficiency arises out of the years you practice that field of work. But sometimes what people want to do is they want to compete. So if they see that their co-worker is doing this quickly, they also want to do it quickly, not realizing that the quickness of a co-worker who has taken 10 years or to develop a certain kind of skill is there in that co-worker, because in that 10 years they have managed to understand all the elements and structures related to what they are doing. So you shouldn't be competing with someone who has got that 10 years worth of experiences in them, where they have cultivated some skill set that you do not possess. But in order to compete with someone with that skill set, sometimes people will do this thing of wanting to be smarter, wiser in some way, and trying to do something in a quick shortcut way, which sometimes may work if you are clever and innovative and you have designed something that is very good for that field of work. But if you are misaligned with that field of work's true higher purpose, those people who are focused on quickness mess up many things. And which is what has happened in the quest for making, like let's say, our washing machine detergents. People What is the with washing machines, what was one problem people who use washing machines found out earlier? That sometimes if you have dusty collars or dust in your scuffs or ankles of your pants or saris and things like that, sometimes the dirt doesn't go away when you wash it in the washing machine. So for that, what is the actual solution? Some companies started now creating those washing machines with that internal mixer like thing that will cause the clothes to twist a little bit more inside the machine. But that also didn't solve the problem. So then what solution started coming up? Someone who wants to fix that problem and someone who's lazy, because what was the real solution to that, where the washing machine is not able to scrub off really grimy areas of your clothes, is you have to become mindful at cleaning your clothes. Like if I have 10 items of clothes I'm washing in a washing machine, of which there are 2 clothes which are really soiled because of dirt and pollution conditions, the other clothes, if I put in the washer dryer, it will wash it and clean it properly. But the one which needs a little extra bit of mindfulness in cleaning, what mindfulness will a housewife do? A housewife will scrub that area. They might also, if they have got some good home remedies, they might add a little bit of lemon to it or salt to it. So something like partial home remedy, partial scrubbing, doing a little bit of hand action and taking extra 5 minutes to do that cleaning will be invested by someone who is mindful about their work. And that will bring the real cleanliness also, because you're focusing also when dirt is there in somewhere, you are meant, that dirt is meant for you to focus on that area, that how to clean it. And then if you want to evolve in your mindfulness, why is this happening? Why is my collar only always so dirty? What is the root cause? The person who is taking a shower, they need to now become mindful that there's a reason why our neck area always gets a little bit more dirtier. Why? Because this area, the water from the hair will land here, and when our hairs are drying, the drip drying from our hair and any pollution in our water is actually accumulating here. So the problem is the water pollution that is accumulating here, or when the water is accumulating here and there is air pollution also, some air pollution particles are also accumulating here. So these are the two reasons. And then if the soaps you're using, shampoos you're using are also toxic and not good for your health, those products deposits are also accumulating here. So that is one reason where when your neck collar is getting accumulation of dirt. So if you become more mindful and start understanding that the city I'm living is polluted, or the product I'm using is health harming, or the I need to do a little bit more scrubbing action in this area simply because of these reasons, then if you do more scrubbing action, more mindful action of cleansing your own body, more mindfully realizing if water pollution is there, air pollution is there, chemical pollution is there, what are the steps I should take to reduce that pollution, that is the real solution to your clothes now not getting dirtier in the neck area. That is the real solution to fixing your problem related to neck area related health issues. Or if your ankles are getting soiled, like in India in rainy season, our clothes always get wet during the rainy season, so obviously the ankle related problems escalates during the rainy season, right? So at that time also, if you are a mindful person, you will not go out in the heavy rain conditions, or where the puddles are there on the roads. You will not stomp on those puddles, or you will like to avoid those puddles so that you don't have to engage in extra cleansing action. So where is the mindfulness there? Instead of engaging more in cleansing action, I do the mindfulness of walking a little bit, 5 minutes extra or 2 minutes extra, to ensure that my clothes do not get dirtier than it should. Because if you, every degree of mindfulness related to these cleansing actions if we take, what starts happening is you are using a little bit less of chemicals on your body, on your clothes, on your washing, in your washing machine as well, the more mindful you are. But if you are not mindful, what people have started doing, because people are not mindful, because people want to skirt this issue of actually resolving the problem related to simple thing like dirt or chemical pollution in the air or chemical pollution in the products they are using, and becoming mindful about what type of products will not give them these greasy necks, or what will be what kind of life conditions will support their health in a better way, support their wife's health. Because this mindfulness, if you are a man, it extends to your family also. Like if your wife is cleaning everything in your home, you become mindful about staying clean, cleaning your neck in a better way, understanding your health in a better way. Then naturally your wife doesn't have to take that 5 minutes extra to clean your shirts, right? You do this mindfulness while walking to the workplace, where your pants don't get dirty, the ankle of your pants are not getting dirty. You are mindful while eating in your office and ensure that stain doesn't fall on your clothes. Then every degree of mindfulness you have executed, that mindfulness will eventually help the person. If it is a maid cleaning, if it is your mom cleaning, if it is your sister cleaning, if it is you yourself cleaning, if it is your wife cleaning your clothes for you, every bit of mindfulness you took helps you in using less chemicals. And why is that important? Because every degree change we make in this understanding that chemicals are harming our health, first you have to, for that reason only, understand that chemicals are also harming our health. What chemicals? The chemicals that we use in our daily life for cleaning our clothes, cleaning our body. Every time we avoid dirt related conditions, avoid pollution related conditions, means that if we don't add to pollution causing conditions, then every single area where we are not adding to pollution, we are not avoiding the pollution, we are understanding where the pollution and dirt and harm or something stain is rising in our body or on our clothes, At that time, every single place you understand it better means you will use a little less chemical. When you use a little less chemical to clean your clothes, little less chemical goes also in your water supply. When little less chemical goes in your water supply, then naturally the water also that you will get back in your taps will be little less as well, little less polluted as well. And that by itself will reduce the health impact related to water pollution related problems in your area. And when you are not addressing it, it's not that, and water pollution problems I mentioned before also takes a long time for people to discern and understand how insidious the problem of water pollution is. It's not a very easy correlation to make, especially because in water being a very soluble thing, there are multiple chemicals that could be present in our water. So when you get a health issue related to water pollution, that correlation has not been done very effectively by most people. People do not understand how the water in their area is also a contributory factor. The quality of water in their area, be it the water that comes in their tap that you use for washing and cleaning yourself and your clothes, or the water that you use for drinking or cooking purposes, or the water that you use for cleaning your home related purposes, every element of pollution present in any kind of water you are using adds to the overall health harm related to your health. And thus, while some water pollution related parameters have been studied in industrial zones, where if people were living near industrial zones and because of proximity to industrial zones their local water got contaminated by the industrial zones water, poor water contamination related policies, or because people also don't understand you don't really need to be right near the industrial zone for your water supply to get contaminated. You could be a few hours away also, or a few kilometers away also from an industrial zone, and still have the health impact from the industrial zone's unethical or unaware or unconscious practices. And again, there also it is the lack of mindfulness which results in all these activities going on. Again, because in industrial zones also, what is humanity focused on in all these elements that add to earth pollution is we are focused on doing things that quicken our ability to do something. We want fast manufacturing, we want quick manufacturing, we want quick solution to our cleanliness related things. And what has happened as a result of the quick solution, first people came up with washing machines, then they found that washing machines are not able to clean the really grimy clothes. So for that, now they have started building we have these more and more toxic chemical laced detergents that are being marketed to us, where some of those detergents also have long lasting scents associated with them, because people want their like, let's say there is like mold pollution going on in their homes, or in fungal pollution going on in their water, fungal contamination in the water. So the real problem is there is fungus in your water, mold in your air, which is actually causing your the fungus and mold in your water and air is causing your clothes to smell really bad, or there's some bacterial contamination going on in your area which is again causing your clothes to smell really bad. Or you're eating foods which have contaminations in them. So if you eat, I have observed this with food also, and in food also you will see certain foods, if you eat, if after eating them you will sweat profusely, and then the sweat will be stinking really badly. And if you avoid eating those contaminated foods, you will not get that stinky sweat, your sweat will be a little less stinky. And this thing again you can observe only when you are mindfully eating, mindfully observing after eating what happens to your body, what kind of sweat is emerging from your body after you have, or sweat or pee and other body odor is emerging from your body after you have consumed some food. So greater level of chemical or microbial contamination in your food, greater is the level of poop, pee and sweat related smell that will emit. And in order to avoid that, what we do, we want our clothes to continuously smell better. So because we want our clothes to continuously smell better, we have decided what is the quickest route: making more scented detergents or fabric softeners, applying a lot of scent in our clothes as well as or on our body, as well as applying a lot of and in order to quickly get things done, make our detergents and washing liquids more and more concentrated and more toxic. Because this is where the toxicity people don't understand. When you're using a detergent which was only been used very mildly by only small percentage of population, or the demand for a product was very small, the toxicity of that product doesn't emerge when small group of people are using it. But when mass scale people are using a product, eventually the toxicities associated with it starts showing up. And this is how the cigarette smoke data also showed up. When only few handful of people were smoking cigars or cigarettes, the data related to harm was not showing up. And at the time, I want to discuss this, but this is such a controversial topic, that's why I'm hesitating to discuss it about cigarette and cigars. But I might discuss it in some other video because it might digress people of the topic. But the main thing is, if I was mindful and about the grime in my neck, about the dusty conditions of my road, and I avoided some of those dusty conditions while walking to work, while driving to work, became mindful, I do not have to use that heavy dose of chemical in washing my clothes, or my maid doesn't have to use it, or my wife doesn't have to use it. And provided, of course, the maid and wife is also mindful, because every degree of lack of mindfulness is a concerted effort. So sometimes the husband might be very mindful, husband might be also complaining that if in my family I've seen multiple people actually getting skin allergies now from concentrated and heavy dosage of usages of these cleansing chemicals. And while I have correlated that it is indeed the detergent's long lasting impact, you have to use a little diluted quantity of detergent in your cloth washing, because our water is also kind of polluted right now with some washing related cleansing agents. So if our water supply already has a little bit of chemical contamination going on from local usages of cleansing agents by everyone in that area, you do not need that high level of whatever is your package saying that 1 cup is needed, one half cup is needed, or whatever cup is needed for doing the cleansing activity. Sometimes that intuition is required to understand, do you really need 1 cup, or will half cup be sufficient to clean your clothes? So these things people need to attune ourselves and become intuitive, not simply use logic about whatever was the logical thing to do 10 years back, 5 years back. Because right now multiple people at multiple level, at multiple degrees, have been continuously using so much of these products. They are all there present in our clothes also, as well as in our water supply also. Because if I am washing my, let's say you have a habit of washing your bed sheet once a week, those people who will be washing their bedsheet, and this I have observed in where, when I've gone to homestays, when I've lived in homestays, when I've lived in hotels, when I've lived in homes where people are very slightly OCD about cleaning, all these places people are constantly washing their linen. So now when you're constantly washing your linen, then what starts happening is there is a higher accumulation of the microparticles from your washing detergent and other chemicals that you're using, like fabric softeners. Or if it is a hotel industry related place where like a lot of tourism is happening, so the water in that area will not only have the washing detergents and soaps and other cleansing agents in it, but it will also have the toiletry related products also heavily in their water. So it will have sunscreens, it might have body lotions, it might have soaps, it might have shampoos, it might have face washes, it might have men's hygiene and cleansing products. So all of these are accumulated in our water supply of those area. And the greater number of washing that a place does, a place which is like very popular and constantly being sought by people to stay, where their linen is continuously getting washed again and again and again, there you will start seeing the accumulation of water pollution's impact eventually over time, where after a few years of operation, the bed sheets and linens will be oversaturated with the chemicals, and which is a toxic health hazard for the people working in that industry, living in that place, people operating the functions of that industry, people staying in those places. Like, if let's say even if it is a tourist town, people can still go sometimes for business purposes in those areas. People can want to escape the city. Like, if some place is a very popular tourist destination, some tourist destinations are places near like nature resorts, so it could be a national park related place, or very near to some natural beauty holding place. So that's why people are going there, that they want to commune with nature, be in connection with nature. But in the places where you are actually living closer to nature, there are actually natural solutions that you can execute in your operations to ensure that you're not using artificial chemicals to keep your home clean. If you're close to nature, use natural elements of nature to keep your home stay, keep your home, keep your business practices aligned with nature. That is where humanity needs to actually go. That is the true way to resolve a problem related to cleanliness, related to earth pollution, related to understanding how earth pollution is impacting our health directly and indirectly. So for a person like me who is already sick with some health conditions, where even a little bit of toxin is immediately causing some health impact, versus another person who might be slightly more healthier than me, for them, they are also consuming that same toxic product. But while if I consume today some water or drink with pollution parameter, I'm getting a urinary problem, I'm getting a stomach problem, I'm getting a sweating problem, I'm getting a breathing distress, because of all the different systems that is contaminated or polluted or in a malfunction state for me. But let's say there's another person who's none of all these systems are not in distress, maybe only one system is in distress, or they were in a healthy status, but because they are also consuming that same toxic product, what is going to be just the difference between someone who's severely ill versus someone who is healthy, versus someone who is maybe only ill with one illness, one minor illness, is the one who is severely ill will get the symptom first and immediately, whereas the one who is in a moderate level or minor level of illness, they might take, after consuming, like, if I only need to consume one bottle of really toxic product to immediately understand it's toxic, one spoonful of something toxic to immediately understand it's toxic, because I'm in a severe health crisis. Whereas someone who's or in a state of mind where if not severe, I am in a heightened state of health crisis. Whereas someone who is in a moderate or minor state of health crisis, the one who will be in a moderate state might take like 10 consumptions of the same drink to now get a escalation of the health symptom. So for example, if there's water pollution going on in my area, and that bathing in that water, washing clothes in that water, showering in that water, cooking food in that water, all of it is impacting my health immediately, and immediately I'm falling sick. Similarly, someone that elderly lady, she's also in a very health precarious status. She's also in a moderate to high level of illness status. So her illness is at a moderately manageable level when the water pollution parameters in her home is low. But the moment, for some reason, because maybe it's festival season, a lot of cleansing activities are going on, and then the water pollution increases, or because of cleansing activities going on in her own home, now excess detergents were used, excess she's also, people want to beautify themselves during festival time, so we are using perfumes, we are using buying fancy and new clothes. But there's a problem related to clothes also. The clothes can have dyes and chemicals in them that could be health harming. When we are washing our older clothes and older bed sheets and linens, the chemicals accumulated in those linens could be the problem. If the water pollution was already at a X level, now maybe because many people are cleansing in that area, it can go to 2x level, twice increase the level of water pollution, contamination could increase during those festival times. So then what started happening, obviously when she was at a moderate health status, when water pollution was at X level, now that water pollution has also increased and other home related pollution has also increased, pollution that other people will not consider pollution because they are at a better health status. So for them, a little bit of extra chemical in their bed sheet might only give them some skin allergy, or might give them a scalp infection because of the water pollution in their homes, or while they are drinking a soup that they have made in that water, that soup might taste a little off to them, they might get some constipation issue from that soup. Something like that, can very minor degree discomfort will occur in whom, the one who has great health status, or only simply maybe one illness going on in their body. It will be a very negligible kind of impact, or an impact that they will be easily able to resolve by taking a medicine, using a preventative care, or just doing some simple intervention, or they will get a symptom for one day and then they will be fine. But the person who is moderate level ill, if that extra element of exposures to different chemicals, exposure to different environmental conditions are now slowly accumulating in their body, and because they're already moderate level ill, their body's ability to clear away the toxins is also lesser than a person who is not ill at all. So because of which also a little bit more of the toxin accumulates in their body, its harm accumulates in their body, and when it is accumulating somewhere in their bones, possibly somewhere in their circulatory system, possibly, is the time when that lady is getting the bone aches and pains and having that problem, because it has now gone into her bones, gone into her circulatory system and blood, and polluting organ systems in her body, resulting in that pain. Not just for her, it's the same thing with me also, because that is how cancer also, certain kinds of cancer also develops in people's bodies from water pollution related parameters, from accumulated multiple degrees of pollution elements in our daily life, which could be from chemicals, which could be from radiation, which could be from microbes, which could be from combination of things in your daily life. And this is what I wanted people to become aware about, because without that awareness you cannot sometimes prevent the certain things can be preventable in our health status. We can be a bit more healthier society if we start addressing step by step the areas in which things need to be cleaned, things need to become more mindful in our daily related to what we do daily in our life. Like every degree of her family, if her family now stops using, like earlier if they were regularly using the 1 capful detergent for washing their clothes, now if they become mindfully aware that maybe it is the detergent that is causing the health harm to that person, they can then, if they decide now or understand this conceptually, that this is the one of the root causes of a health issue. Because again, if you're elderly and you're moderately ill or high level ill, the root causes of your health issues will be multiple. When you are moderate level ill or not ill at all, your root cause of your health problem will be only 1 level, 2 level. I hope that makes sense. So for a person who has multiple level things impacting their health, their health relief will come from one step de-escalation of the things that are causing their health harm. So if when radiation was causing the health harm, if I de-escalate the radiation related impact, now one health harming factor has gone down, so slight improvement in health is happening to me. Then if another is happening from water pollution or air pollution, if air pollution parameters go down, again slight improvement in health happens to me. And if water pollution problem is there, again if it de-escalates, then improvement in symptoms happens. Whereas the moment the water pollution problems increases, the health harm increases. The moment the food pollution problem increases, the health harm increases. The moment the cloth pollution problem increases, health harm increases. So this correlation, for bringing this correlation in our daily life practices, we have to become observant, we have to become mindful, we have to understand and become self-aware. And when we are self-aware, we also slowly develop the capacity to become aware about the health issues of someone else as well around us in our life. And when you develop that mindfulness about someone involved in our life, if we can execute then the right mindful steps to make the changes to improve their health, every degree of change we do to improve someone's health eventually not only helps the person who is suffering from a great illness but or minor illness, but it can also eventually, that if you make that improvement of, let's say, water pollution or heavy use of cleansing agents were causing someone's health harm, at that time if I stop using that heavy usage of chemical agents and I dilute the product or use a little bit less of the product for cleansing activities, or switch to a product that is a little bit more health safe for my family, all these minor steps of changes if I do, the one who is severely ill, from severe illness they will go possibly into moderate level illness. And you will also naturally now then have the freer time. If you have a severely ill patient in your family, you will have to caretake them also a lot. Whereas if you have done mindfully certain things for caretaking their health, you will, if they become now from severely ill patient to a moderately ill patient, the toll of caretaking also reduces for you as well. And the second thing is the toll of caretaking also reduces for you. But along with that, for them, while it was a severe illness or moderate level illness, now for you, if you were getting minor skin irritation, scalp irritation, now that will go away, because if that skin irritation, scalp irritation was happening from the bedsheet related accumulated toxins, that less accumulation of the toxin or lower degree of the toxin on the bed sheets will now not cause you that skin irritation, scalp irritation. If it is a water pollution related problem, and let's say you work in the government who and you have contacts in the government who can do something about the water pollution, then do the measures, right measures, or figure out the right step by step measures necessary to ensure that the water pollution levels in your area do not escalate during certain seasons, or ensure how in the governance level now you can create policies to address the challenges related to water pollution. Because this water pollution challenge isn't simply a home life challenge, it is also a challenge that is a mass scale challenge for businesses of any kind, because water is used everywhere in multiple businesses and multiple levels of multiple businesses. So because water is a key element of human life on earth, water is needed for many things. Clean water is needed, pure water is needed, and understanding when water is not pure or is health harming is equally important in every element of work related to water we do in our daily life. So I hope this was meaningful, and we do need government oversight and regulations and changes about ensuring that every element of places where people are not doing mindful work, not understanding how they are contributing to a product they are selling that is crappy product, or having pollution causing parameters in it where deliberate pollution is happening, those, if we do not resolve those problems, then what is the overall thing that will eventually occur in a population group is you will end up with mass scale deaths, mass scale health issues, or a very unhealthy society which is not going to be functional in a good way, which will eventually result in more escalation of problems of the future. So if we want to avoid escalation of problems in the future, every set of change that is the right change we make in the present is the only way to de-escalate a future problem. This is where the feminine energy, when I keep talking about balancing of masculine and feminine energy, masculine energy usually wants to do things quickly or improve things, whereas feminine energy is required for you to understand that when you are making an improvement, whether you are making the same improvement a improvement which is overall beneficial for the future of society, overall beneficial for the future of a lot of people associated with the change you're making. And the moment the distorted masculine and distorted feminine starts working, at the time distorted masculine and feminine are not able to distinguish between what is health harming, what is a false solution, what is a parameter which because masculine and false masculine, false feminine wants to do what, or like the toxic masculine feminine energy wants to do things quickly, wants to do things manipulatively, wants to improve things in a way that doesn't really solve the problem. And while the feminine, the one who is manipulative, doesn't want to solve the problem because of some manipulative gain, whereas the one who is not manipulative doesn't want to solve the problem because of the egoic gain. And this is where we are stuck right now. It's the egoic gain, because it's an egoic gain for a man. If quickly, like if the man is living by himself, he has decided, why do you think all these more and more of chemicals have been created by people, those men and women who do not have time to invest and become mindful in their home life, into cleaning in a better health safe ways. They have decided, I want a quick solution to this. But what was the real solution they needed? They really needed to, if you are a rich person, you don't have time to clean for anything, you have to find a mindful worker to work in your homes, to do this work for you. You have to assign that role to a mindful person. So the one person who is mindful and understands what is the things needed to be mindful, and then understands who are the mindful partners that need to be present in their life, be it a life partner, be it a family member, be it all other people you hire to work with you. All of these things are the actual things you are supposed to build slowly in life. Like, you know how a flower has a central core, and then there are petals around the flower that is slowly growing as the flower is blossoming and growing up, like that. And it slowly opens up, right? And some petals start growing, more and more petals grow in certain flowers, right? So this thing that happens in a flower, our life is meant to blossom and flower like that. But when our life doesn't blossom and flower like that, is when our life is a toxic life, or we are propagating things in our life where we don't know how to open up appropriately, according to evolve appropriately according to the needs, evolve appropriately according to what is true evolution. Because there are also, you can add extra chemicals to a flower and help it blossom quicker, but while it blossoms quicker with extra chemicals, it is not doing its natural thing. Sometimes it will not be doing its natural thing. And the impact of that chemical now added to the flower also will show up eventually in the later stages, which has happened in our those people who get pollen allergies, those people who get with pollen related thing. Maybe I'll make another video, but pollen is another thing. Allergic things that reactions that we get to our current food, one element of that allergies is stemming from chemical usages, and I'll make a next video for that possibly in the future. But understand that every degree of places where we inculcate true change related to and balance change, the balance change and true change happens with mindfulness, with engaging in thoughts which ensure that what we are doing right now on earth is in alignment with our health, our family's health, our society's health, in the present as well as in the future. It will be supportive of it. And the moment we stop thinking about things from the present and future direction related to it, is when we continuously just focus, and people are only focused on this was the past pattern that has worked and that's all we should do, is the place where these kind of errors related to manufacturing practices, unethical practices, unmindful practices, quick fix practices, which are not real quick fixes but are false quick fixes, because in the now moment it might have fixed something, but in the longer run it has added to a problem. So that's why it is necessary for all of us to reconvene and get back into figuring out what is a truly beneficial and mindful and truly future health supportive practice that we all need to follow in our individual to family to collective to group social group lives, to work lives, to a grander scale of operations of anyone who works in this mass scale operational level of any industry or any country's governance or any regulatory systems head. Everyone has to focus on these issues, because these are all issues that are plaguing all of us, some at a minor level, some at a major level, but it is a global level problem. That's why the problems related to coronavirus variants and other health issues are not de-escalating in the right way, because right resolutions haven't happened. That's why also human misery is not going down. Misery related to other parameters of health, related to psychological health, mental health, physical health, social health, all these, everything is interconnected. So every degree of mindfulness leads to and mindfulness practiced by a group of people only slowly builds the change necessary to take us towards a really healthier society, really less suffering filled society, true balance filled, harmony filled society. I hope this made sense. Anyone has questions, comments, please drop a question, comment, or anything you would wish to share. Thank you very much. Have a great day.